So we're now tuned in to Gifted Interviews, and I'm here today with
Nathan Graves from Moline, Illinois. You can follow me on all social media at Nathan Graves 309.
Bet. So, how you feeling today? That's the question I want to ask. How you feeling?
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. I know I said I was gonna get back to doing things, and it took me a while, but we're here today, and we.
Yeah, I'm feeling blessed. I got my friend here with me today, so that's good. Overall, doing good. Like anybody, we've got some trials going on in life, and just giving thanks to God daily about it, because I know that if I put my hands in it too much, I got a tendency to mess things up if I let Nathan do it. So
that's all of us, though. We put our hands in things because we feel like we might not, do what we want to get or have what we want to get done, but we can do a lot. You can do a lot. It's just, you have to have that mindset, believe in yourself, like everybody around you, we believe in you. So my question today is based on music, based on life. When you get in the studio and you're in there and you're sitting there and you vibe and you hear a beat, what inspires you to make a song while you're in there? What gets you in that mode?
So sometimes I'll go in spurts of making music. There's like last night I was in the studio and it was specifically for writing for a song, and I had other songs that I could have written for a closer project that's going to be coming out in May, but I just felt led to work on a different song, like a solo one necessarily, and something I'll probably be putting out in December. But when it motivates me, I guess it's something I ask God about too, is to help me to make time for it. A lot of times you can relate to, as the man of your house, working full time. We have obligations and things like that, responsibilities that take, they do take precedence over some stuff. So I found it, like last night it was awesome because it turned in from like a songwriting session into a Bible study, and then it was really, it was a good night. So things that motivate me in music for writing or creating, I'm always keeping my ear open for beats, like different producers. I've got a few that I hit up. Shout out to Cypher Storm down in South Carolina. That's my guy. I've got a few others that I really enjoy, that I know, that I feel like my sound goes good with, but I'm always up for listening to other people too.
So are you would you consider, are you more hard on yourself when it comes to the music? Do you kind of like be like, okay, I gotta get this right, or do I gotta make sure this is perfect? Are you more of the artist that's hard on yourself, or you just like you let it flow?
I think if I had to lean one way, maybe I am a little hard on myself at times, because I want to represent correctly, and it is my artistry. But there'll be times where I've written full songs and I ended up scrapping them before, not because I thought that the song was bad necessarily, but maybe like I don't know, however I was in the or I might scrap the song, but something like the message that was in there, maybe just something with the beat later on, or something didn't work out where I was like, this just isn't exactly how I would want it. So I might take an 8-bar, or even a little more of the verse or something, and pick pieces of that out, and maybe it ties into something better than it was supposed to be. So that happens sometimes. So
another question I have is, what inspires you? Like when you get in that booth and you make those songs, and you come out with these amazing songs, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate
songs.
it.
There's some songs that you got out, I'm just like, they in my phone right now. Just
I appreciate that.
So
I'm
you got some amazing songs, and my thing is, what inspires you to make those songs?
So I'd say that a lot of my songs maybe not a lot of them, but it comes from, I think at first you gotta be authentic. Like your music's gotta be authentic to your life, or the things that you went through or experienced and stuff. The whole fake it till you make it, whether you're in a Christian scene or not, I just don't, that's never been me. So like before ever coming to Christ, like doing other rap music, I was rapping about everything that I was living, like everything that I was living. If I was talking about 30 racks off a burner phone, it's because I had 2 phones on me, and that was really the life for a long time. Even in the Christian scene, it's just something that it's got to be authentic to me. So there's even like there's a song that I got with shout out to Holy Mac. We got something coming out, and it's maybe on the, I don't want to say darker side, but it's called Pain. So like a lot of songs, at least I'll say in the genre that I'll be in, a lot of victory, triumph, and that's good, but sometimes you gotta show like a vulnerable side too, or like genuinely, like when I made the song, it was therapeutic and wasn't even intended for it to come out.
Right, it was therapeutic.
But yeah,
for you.
like I needed to go in there and write down because I was really walking through some tough stuff at the moment. So yeah.
So when we talk about pain and tough stuff you walk through, do you ever look back on like a lot of the stuff that you've been through and be like, I wish I could have changed some things, or I wish I could have done some things different as far as the like music wise, and you know, in your life? Do you feel like you could have? You feel like, man, if I would have did this a little bit different, maybe this would have happened, or maybe that.
Yeah. So there's definitely been learning lessons on both sides, so musically and in life for me. We'll just speak on like the music side of it first. I think that something that I've learned is that I need to take everything to God with it. So like praying about who he wants me to work with before I just jump on it, where I'm like, ooh, I like his music. He's got a following. I think we make a dope record together. My wife and I have had incidences because she is a partner in this with me, where we've invested money. Yeah. And we've sent money out for 2 different features before, and people that are both known in the scene, and someone would get it back in a few days, and the other, I won't mention any names, but we had to bring up the possibility of a lawsuit to even think about recouping what we had put into it. And then that was 6 months of waiting, and it was one of those that when we did receive it back, we just didn't feel good in our spirit about even putting the record together like that. So what I'm getting at is we invest money, and that was on just my initial being like, ooh, I think this would be good. So maybe being more patient at times. So I'm learning that in that, and then in life, definitely about things maybe I wouldn't change a lot because it led to me where I'm at, and I'm blessed to have my wife, my kids, good friends like you, and other people in my life. God's definitely trimmed out people out of my life and replenished it with just people that love me for me, and want good rather than what can they get from you, type of thing. Things I might have changed. I was in the Navy, and and it was one that I signed up for 5 years, and that's something that I don't share with a lot of people. But my enlistment, I was good for like the first 2.5 years, and then there was some stuff that went on. I watched a guy get chopped in half by a propeller on a flight deck, and it was one of those that it messed with me and a lot of people, and I wanted out. And my head wasn't right, and it was I took off, so I became what they call I went AWOL, or a deserter. So I ended up turning I turned myself in. I thought I was gonna do 6 months or a year in the brig. I did 18 days, and I didn't. What I'm getting out of that, where I'm going with that, is that I wish that I would have fulfilled the commitment, in the sense, just because not even for like a financial thing, but maybe I would have, it changed it. Maybe I wouldn't have signed up for as big of an enlistment. So I support where I'm going at. I support the military wholeheartedly. We need military men and women out there in all branches. I think if you're young and that's an option for you, I think that trying to go for the shortest enlistment possible to see if it's what you want rather than 5 years, because not everything that you're going to hear from a recruiter might always be the truth. And it's not that they're liars, but they want to get you in there. And it was just made my personal experience. So if I would support my children going into it, but I would try to guide them in a good way about it. So
yeah, definitely. Well, the military is not for for everybody. Like a lot of us, we don't know what they go through, but like you just said, what you shared, what you went through, we don't know what you guys go through when you do get in there and do your thing. So from us that's on the outside, we don't see that. Yeah. So a lot of times we're quick to think we know and we really don't.
Yeah.
And some of us are so quick to judge, and we really shouldn't do that. But
there was stuff, I mean, even like the normal, like other injuries. I watched somebody get their elbow down, chopped off out of a jet intake. I've seen people try to kill themselves jumping off the ship, random. Just crazy. And then the isolation, like if you're, granted, you'll be on the ship had 5,000-6,000 people on it, but you're in the middle of the ocean and there's no getting off the boat. So coming from a kid from anywhere, I guess I shouldn't even say a street kid like I was, but going out there, and I'm thankful because I would have never been able to go overseas and see some things yet. I got to experience a lot of life, and again, I just as I've grown and matured, or try to.
That's all we all do.
I wanted to, I like to be a man of my word, or like fulfill commitment. So that was one that I look back on where I'm like, I wish I could have done it differently. Yeah.
So let me ask you about, as far as what drove you into getting into music? Music just in general. Like, what is it about music that drives you?
So I remember being a kid. I'm old enough to, I'll just say May of '80 born, and I was an '80s baby, and my dad was a big hair band, rock and roll type of guy, and just music's always been in the house, and then shifting into, it was something about rap music, and I still have an appreciation for rock and other types. My taste started shifting as a young, 12 to 13-year-old boy, and then I remember being in the Navy and being 19 and riding in the back of my friend's car from the club, and they're all freestyling, and then they pulled it out of me one night, and they're like, "You're not horrible," and then I just like never did that. But no, it was just something that I felt like I know that God had given me a gift for music, and that isn't like big up in me at all. It just something that I'm thankful that I'm utilizing now for the kingdom. I don't think necessarily bad about, like, I guess you'd write regular rap or secular music, but that was something that, like I mentioned before, I got into, and I put out a few projects and stuff through that, and again, just being authentic to what I was doing in life at that time.
So nowadays, let's say, like within rock or rap, which artists inspired you in those genres of music? It could be rock, it could be hip hop, it could be, anything. What artists inspired you as far as genre-wise? My words, that's good. But like, it could be like anybody from, anywhere.
Anybody. So, rock and roll music, I appreciate, like, when my wife will pop on Santana. There's something about that, or like I'm big on like piano and guitar and just hearing it. There's just something like when somebody can be vulnerable on a record and you can like feel. So Kurt Cobain and Nirvana is probably like my favorite music group ever coming prior to Christ, and not that I like dislike them now, it's just, that was like just the way that the emotion that you could hear on a record, and that other ones in the rap scene. So I remember still being in like I remember hustling and very much into that life. And I remember hearing I was like barely coming to Jesus at this point. Like, you know, like my mom had taken me to church as a kid, and but it became real to me, you know, like, you know, the last 6 years. But I remember specifically a day, I got back from a run from Michigan. I'm at the house, taking care of some stuff, and I hear, like, I'd started going to church a little bit, I know it's the Holy Spirit, like, tugging at me at that moment. But anyway, like, God's got a way of throwing something on the algorithm on YouTube or wherever, because God will use any platform. But there's a song from a guy named Dayton. Shout out to Dayton from God Over Money. He's got a song like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was called The Voice. And he's put out a ton of music since. But that song in particular, I know that, like, I remember when I heard it, and when I hear it now, I still get goosebumps off of it. And he was just being transparent about his life. He was doing some hustling, and the things that he was speaking about on the record, I was like, I never thought that, okay, I'll be like, I'll never like Christian music, it's corny, you know. And then it was like, okay, some's alright, but who am I to do it myself? Even though I'd done rap music before, I'm like, I felt like I was super dirty, you know. And it just took a minute for it. But yeah, Dayton was a big one that influenced me to do music as a Christian artist. And then getting to know, my wife put me on to Brian Trejo's music, and we got the record together with him and Drew Ava now, which is cool.
That's
so
awesome. So let me ask you, I know you mentioned about, you know, back then where you was hustling and different things back then. What changed that made you go from, you know, out here hustling, you know, partying, to following God? What happened, if you want to share?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
If it's something
you can ask me anything.
What happened to make you be like, okay, you know, I need to change?
So at that point in my life, I mentioned there's a song that I've talked about it too. Like, I got "Love Me to Life" is a song, and that I've got, and I got another one coming out, and I speak about it where it's I knew somebody that I was really close with that moved out to Colorado, and he was gonna help somebody farm. So I got to meeting some people out there. I was somebody else's worker around here, and I did fine for myself for a lot of years, and by the grace of God, I never caught any huge charges or anything like that. Never spent big time in the joint, because I've got people that I know that are in now, and just but no, there was just something that from being out in that period of going out to Colorado, then I met people that I realized that I knew in Michigan, and that was half the trip, and it was just flowing. To be completely honest, I didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
It was harder. Excuse me. It was harder for me to quit hustling than it was for me to. Is it okay? I get a drink real quick.
Yeah.
Can you give me some water, please?
We'll keep it rolling.
Yep. So it was easier for me to quit having sex, quit doing drugs, than it was for me to quit hustling. So the thing that kind of that changed it for me, some people have the encounter of being like, I remember the day I got saved. For me, it was a process. I don't remember the day, but I make the marker on my son, Braxton. Thank you. My son, Braxton, who he turned 5 in December. So his mother and I were, and this is no disrespect to her because she's an amazing mom. We were a short-lived relationship, 4 months at most. I had another girlfriend in Michigan, and at the time, I was never physically abusive, but I wasn't a good boyfriend. And when she told me that she was going to have an abortion, that was something that just took me back to a spot. I'll just get vulnerable with it. So I got a 13-year-old, and again, her mother is a Christian now and following the Lord. there was something that stemmed from that relationship something very similar. And when my son's mom said that she wasn't going to keep him, it took me right back to that. And I didn't know what. I know now it was God, but in the moment I didn't need one of my friends telling me how bad of a person she was. And I found myself, I'd never been to a counselor or a shrink or nothing in my life, and I don't know why I wanted to, but I went and saw a psychologist down at South Park Psychology, started seeing him every week. I got a gym membership, and then an ex of mine had taken me to a church in Moline, Calvary, a few years prior when I was out in Colorado, like, hey, you should try to go. And it just wasn't, my life. I was, again, like, I wasn't trying to stop. My last year of hustling, I went to Hawaii twice, and it's not bragging, it's just, life was real. Yeah, life was real. But no, when she said that she was gonna have the abortion, we didn't have any contact for 4 or 5 months. So in that period, God did a work in my life. So he started, and that's what really, really began the change. So I was still like out. I was Colorado, I'd kind of done away with. Michigan was my primary thing. I was planning on moving up there. We were looking, like, I had farmers that I worked with up there, and then we were gonna start our own grow, and it was just moving up the corporate ladder. But the devil will have you believe in a lie of being like, the only things, if I had $1 for every time I heard and verbalized, the only 2 things I was good at was being a dad and selling dope. But the devil will come and he'll tell you, he'll masquerade, that lie with some truth. You're a good dad, but he'll lie and be like, the only other thing you're good at is this, which is not true.
It's not true, because you're good at a lot of things. And not only are you a good dad, you have a lot of good things about you, and that's something that other people around you can see. And that's something that, like, a lot of us, I feel like we forget. Like, we get in the mindset of, okay, I might not be good enough. But to everybody else, I'm like, man, you dope, or man, you're really
and we
good.
And
we may not think that.
We let the enemy chime in our ear.
Yeah, we are. One thing I always say is, like, we're one of our biggest, I wouldn't say enemies, but we criticize ourselves the most. We criticize ourselves the most. So that's something that I feel like we as people need to work on and pray about.
No, absolutely correct.
So another question I have for you is, what song do you have that you love the most? What song that you've created that you're like, okay, man, like, I can listen to this constantly over and over and over again. Like, I recorded a song myself. I'm like, is that me? So I just kept playing it.
Yeah, man, like, them clips that you sent, them clips you sent me, we need to get something done with some of those, because you guys was doing good on them little clips that you were sending.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Hey, that's all right though. And that's, once you get the reps in too, you'll find even more comfortability in it. And anytime that we got the home set up upstairs too, so anytime if it's you guys want to come on over and get that stuff in, rather than having to go on the and in the studio is cool too, but this way you can feel a little more relaxed sometimes. So what
would you say, like, a song that you've made that touches you the most, and
touches me the most?
Touches you the most, whether it's good, whether it's something that you've been through, and why does that specific one touch you?
So I'd say it's a song, Let Me to Life, that I did off the first project that we put out this last January. I think it was 14th we put it out. We got a music video out for it. Shout out to Cosmic Zell out of Chicago. Came down and shot that for us last summer. That song is special to me because it's a hard song. It's a testimony of mine. And it talks about everything that I was going through in that, where it's like, at the age of 15, started bagging up, 20 years later, out here grinding, still acting up. Like, I was that kid that went to church with his mama and probably genuine. I know that I know that good seed was planted in good soil, but I went from being 17 to 35 of doing whatever I was doing, all in the world, and by the grace of God that we're able to have this conversation. Period. Like, that song, it's special to me. I've had some other people that let me know about a couple other songs that touch them, but for me personally, that's probably one that really, really hits, because it's, again, like I call it like a street gospel song, and it's one that whether there's kids or young adults, teens, or that are out there and feel like their grandpa or their dad or uncle hustles, so I'm gonna gang and hustle and stuff like that. I get that, because I've seen that too, and I did that. But there's a lot more out there, and if there's people my age, I think that's why God's got me speaking to, maybe not to specific age or race or anything like that, but there's a lot of there's a lot of people out there that that feel like that's the only way they can get it, or that there's no other hope out there for them, and there is, and there's
most definitely. If you had to give any advice for those people that do watch, like kids, anybody older that watch and be like, man, I want to do what he do, or I want to make music, or they really like the songs that you release and put out. What advice would you give them as far as them going down that road, that dark road that you went through in your life? What kind of advice would you give those?
So whether you make Christian music or any other type of genre to it, I think it's important. Go out there. Sorry, thank you. I think it's important, man, if you can just, I want to reach somebody before they make their last big mistake. I've made a bunch. I've got friends. I got a buddy that I'll never see again in federal. He'll never. He caught 40-something years, and it's one of those. And then there's people that I missed for 8 years or long, and it just. There's more out there. The devil is a liar, and he'll tell you that that's what you're good at, that's the only thing that you can do, and it's not true. I remember coming back from a trip, and I was watching Joel Osteen on, like, in the morning. It had like Joyce Meyer and Joel Osteen, and I used to record them, and I'd be smoking a blunt and like making my breakfast, and I just got like, but I remember hearing him talk about somebody saying that I hustle or I sell drugs and that's the only thing I'm good at, and he was telling them, if you could do this, there's so many other things that you would be good at.
Yes.
And it's so true. And people think of Joel Osteen for whatever they do, but I'm telling you, gotta use people to speak to you. When he spoke to me in that moment, and it was just. And sometimes it takes a while to break down that wall that has been up and stuff. So older people out there too that's still in the life, if you got mom or dad alive, when you catch that charge, you already know, because you might have been in the system already or might have already done some time. If you got kids, you ain't finna see them. If you got a mama, maybe she's gonna die in there and you're not gonna see her. You ain't gonna be able to go to the funeral. That's just, what does it mean to you? There's other options, and slow money sucks sometimes, but slow money is, you got freedom in it too.
Exactly.
And it's something about not having to look over your shoulder, like not having to worry about cops, sirens, or whatever. Exactly. Just like you get pulled over and then you're, like this. There's so much that's involved in that life, but people that want to do the music, it's if you lose your freedom, you ain't finna do any music. That's for sure. That's
true. I always tell people that our life can change in 30 minutes.
Oh,
that's all
man.
you need. your life will change in 30 years.
Yeah, good or bad. So it's it's show me your friends and I'll show you your future type of thing too. Like the company we keep, even if it's hard sometimes because maybe I've got a really close friend, and I miss him, and he's around here still, and it's one of those that I know that God's trimmed from my life, and I love him, and I want the best for him, and if he sees this, you know who you are. I love him, and drugs and different stuff just really took a hold of him, and I've seen how it's affected his life. He's got kids, and this would go for a million other people out there, but it's just one of those things, like if I could have somebody like that tell that story about like, yo, don't do this stuff because it's really got me. So
it's like you said, believing in yourself is key. Praying, and that's like the advice you're giving to the people that are watching, who's going to be watching this. Pray, make some changes, and a lot of what you said. So I guess the next question I have is, we're not gonna get deep because I feel like we've been deep. I feel like we've been deep this whole interview, so we're gonna try to switch it up. Yeah. And what you got coming out? Because I seen that you was working on a video.
Yeah,
a
man.
Video that I'm very, very interested in, and the song is one of my favorite songs of all time that you have. That I have, like I said, I downloaded it. I listened to it more than you know, and
we appreciate that too.
So. Tell me about that. Like, tell me about
what's going on. So
what's new that you have coming that people haven't seen yet?
Okay, so we've got May 16th. I got another project dropping called Kingdom Collabs, and that'll be another 11 songs. This one all features with it. I enjoy doing features and working with other artists. I'm totally okay with solo songs too, because I was up there last night writing for my own stuff. But with this one though, God just put it on my heart to like build bridges and to make like genuine connections and stuff with some artists and make some really cool records out of it. So now we've got that coming. We've already shot one of the videos for it while we were down in Abilene with shout out to Brandon Trejo and Jubal, Elrod, and LSG from up here in Illinois. We went down there. Shout out to the homie Weapon Bot, went down there with me. We went down to film. The main video was that one with Brian Trejo and Drew Ava for a song we got called I'll Go that you're mentioning.
That's the one I want to see. I'm waiting on that one.
I'm
waiting on it. I'm gonna share it more than you.
We're looking that was one that it's cool how it came about, because when my wife and I will be married July, it'll be 3 years. But when we first had met, she had put me onto his music, and now we're working with him, and now we have a relationship in a sense. So
that's dope.
Yeah, that's dope. It's cool. He's coming up we're bringing the family, Kingdom Music, them, and Drew Ava, June 10th, Word of Life Church, Rock Island, Illinois. It'll be a Friday night. You guys aren't going to want to miss that completely free concert put on by Restore the Streets Ministries and Word of Life Church. So it's going to be really cool. So that's something cool to look out for. Again, I've got the artist that I'm working with on this next project too, Cordell Page out of Joliet. He's got an amazing ministry going on. He's got something called the Waiting Room Experience. It's like a gospel Broadway type of play thing. He put an album out, and that's really dope. Shout out to the homie Man of Music. We got a song called Wartime that goes hard. He's out of St. Louis.
That's awesome.
Got a song with Brian's wife, Monica Trejo, gonna be coming out on the next project.
You've been working.
Just putting in a lot of work. And again, like when you asked earlier about like how do you get inspired for music, I think there was a song, like I did knocked out like 6 songs in a small window of time. Like sometimes it comes like the Holy Spirit will smack me with some stuff, and I get in a creative bug, and there we go with it. Yeah.
That's always good. So it's, like you said, it's always good to, you know, have that and be motivated with, you know, all the stuff that you do. You got a lot that you're working on. So I'm going to end it right here, and I'm going to say, you know, because we're not going to get deep no more, because I'm like,
that was
that one.
I got all super deep, probably. Yeah.
I was like, man, I felt that one. I feel him on that one.
I'd say that's like, any questions you had. That's what I just, and anybody out there, I know that's been something that I've enjoyed as a consumer of music. Is I like someone's music, and then I want to find. I tend to look for their interviews because I want to see what they're like as a person. Yeah,
and a lot of people, you know, a lot of people might have went through or going through something, and you just listening to you know, share what you've been through may, you know, uplift them or inspire them, or may even relate to some of them, because there's a lot of people out there that don't talk about what they go through, and being that they don't talk about it, hearing it from somebody else, like, okay, yeah, I know that, I went through that, or I get what he's saying, you know, I get what he's been through. And a lot of people can tell by watching it, but, you know, I can see the pain in him. I can see, you know, everything that he's been through just by watching him, by watching his interview. So a lot of people will relate to you more than you know. A lot of people will relate to you, might not say anything. But that's social media. But
that's if God'll touch the people that need to hear it, and that's what through making music. Another thing is I'm not interested in catching a record deal out of this. I'm not. That is not my heart passion at all. That was something I prayed against, and then I caught myself like, if God wants to do something with this, then He'll let us do it. I have no desire to see Nathan Graves up on a big thing.
I want to see Nathan Graves.
It would be part of it would be dope, because if He wants to put it on a bigger platform that'll reach more people for Christ. Then that's what it's about for me, because I know that the impact that it's had. I know the impact that he's had on my life, and it just, if I can get if I can get, that's you know, not even trying to sound corny, but it's real. Like, if I could shine the light on Christ, because the days are we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
It's one of those that if I can
shine that light on you,
and
it's possible.
And if it gets to whoever hears the song and gets touched by it is who is supposed to. If I made all these songs, or every event that we do, well, like bringing them up in June, if there's one kid from the hood that, or anywhere, that their life had changed off of that, then my job's done. If there's 1,000, cool. But I want somebody's soul saved. I want their life to change off of it, and if they can relate to the stuff that I'm talking about through it, and that's what grabs them, praise God. That's what I'm in for. So
that's real. So this is another episode of Gifted Interviews, and we're saying goodbye to our friend
Nathan Graves, Moline, Illinois. I love you guys. Again, feel free to hit me up on any of my social media. You can find me on everywhere at Nathan Graves 309. I'm an open book, so hit me up, and I'm here.